the Phillies bats wake up against the Mariners, while also us getting news, which we don't really truly understand, on the Zack Wheeler situation. Eagles, last week of training camp underway. This is trending in the AM. Let's lock it in, just like the Eagles are doing. We are live, taking your thoughts and opinions on everything. We're going to play a little doctor with Zack Wheeler. We're live in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM, right here on the STT Sports Network. We are live, YouTube and Twitter. Wherever you are watching, please hit that like button. Please share this out. And, of course, make sure you subscribe to the STT Sports Network YouTube page starting today. 591 subscribers, 9 away from 600. Let's go. Like, share, subscribe, and drop your comments. There's already a litany of comments between Nooms and Duck talking about Zack Wheeler. We're going to try to fire through them as quickly as we can. But, guys, please do that. And if you are watching on Twitter, head on over to the STT Sports Network YouTube page. That is where our live poll question of the day is. Already 12 votes, 1.5 minutes into the show here. Will A.J. Brown play week 1 versus the Dallas Cowboys? Yes or no? Pretty simple question. No is leading the early poll here, as A.J. Brown still did not practice. And I ask a simple question. At what point do you begin to be concerned? I'm not concerned. We'll get into that. Obviously, lots on the table today. Eagles training camp, A.J. Brown. The offense looking to lock in a little bit this week as it's the final week of training camp practices before Friday's preseason game, before cutdowns next week. The offseason is in its final run here. Final run. So we're going to go through all the news and notes from yesterday's Eagles training camp practice, which includes some interesting developments, in my opinion, on the cornerback battle. Phillies win last night against the Seattle Mariners, 12-7. We'll talk about that. Ranger Suarez looked good. Bryce Harper, literally the entire offense. Even Max Kepler had a couple hits last night. So the whole offense was getting its groove back last night. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And, of course, Zack Wheeler. We have the official statement from the Philadelphia Phillies on Zack Wheeler. Right-handed pitcher Zack Wheeler underwent a successful thrombolysis procedure to remove a blood clot in his upper right extremity this morning by Dr. Paul DeMuzio at Thomas Jefferson Hospital. Further treatment and subsequent timeline for recovery to be determined. And I know there's a lot in the chat already about what that means. I am no doctor. I'm going to read each and every comment. We will go through them. I don't know what it means. We'll find out. I am just going to err on the side of I'll wait for updates from the Phillies on Zack Wheeler. So let's get into these comments. Nooms first off said, you have to give Wheeler a lot of credit for taking the aggressive therapy. He could have easily said, I've had a great career. Let's turn it down a notch. Okay, that's interesting. I don't know what aggressive versus non-aggressive. I just know trying to fix a blood clot is fixing a blood clot. Didn't catch the news. Okay, so what's the next thing? He is doing the exact opposite. The guy is all in. Next step is to pray for no residual microfragments to be present. Should that be the case, he would need a way shorter course of basically blood thinners. He had an aggressive thrombolysis. Phils should have a timeline based on what they see in the next few days. They could say the generic 6 to 3 months, but they're doing the right thing. Okay, so an actual venous or a clot, look, I don't even know what half these words mean. They won't know. They're going to not know much more information for the next couple days to week. Hopefully by next week, beginning of next week, we know if Zack Wheeler has a chance of coming back or not. We don't know at this point. Obviously, blood thinners are going to be in play. How long he'll be on the blood thinners, I think, will determine whether he's able to come back the last week of the season and pitch for us in the playoffs. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm not holding my breath because obviously blood clots are something much more serious than an ACL or whatever. This is like a life and death situation. Good morning, Adam. Phillies brought out the bats last night. 21 hits, Turner and Harper, 21 hits. Turner Harper bombs. It's great to see Trey Turner actually hit a home run in Philadelphia, his first in almost a year. It depends on residual compression and residual microfragments and the success of these are, you guys are either reading right off of WebMD or you guys are doctors, which you should be in surgery if you're doctors. Good morning, Mr. Steven Fuentes. Hope you are well. That was what my research from over the weekend. There's way too much medical science in here today for me to understand. Should Zack Wheeler announce his retirement by the end of the year? No, he's not going to announce his retirement unless something drastic comes out, obviously. I shouldn't say no. I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not with this comment, but it's no. I mean, there's still so many more hurdles to go through and so many more check marks to go through before we know when he can pitch, when he can't pitch, what the severity of it is. Everyday Phils. Maybe he'll be back. I hope he'll be back. But I would think he'd be back next year if possible. Brian Pumpman in the house already. This defense is going to be horrible. The Eagles defense? I don't know about that. I think we're starting to see some things with the Eagles defense that tells us Drew Mukuba is going to be the starting safety. You're starting to learn some things that I think they're finally fed up with Keely Ringo. The fact that he didn't even see the field with the ones once yesterday. Adoree Jackson was up first. Mac McWilliams subbed in. Jacorian Bennett subbed in. Cooper Dejean went to the outside. But realistically, why is this defense going to be so bad when you've got one of the best front sevens in all of football? How is that? How are the Eagles defense going to be so bad when you have Zach Bond, Jalen Carter, Jihaad Campbell, Jordan Davis, Moro Jomo, Quinion Mitchell, Cooper Dejean? And let's not forget Jihaad Campbell, who is going to be the steal of the NFL draft. I want to know details why you think it's going to be so bad. Now, this is research, and I work as an IT guy at a hospital. At least you're at an IT guy. I knew you were an AT. I didn't know you were at a hospital. You pick up a few things, yes. Yes, we about to rely on Jacorian Beignets. You got to remember something. I've talked about this a lot over the last week or two, since the first preseason game, Brian. Sounds weird. I should say Pump Man. Why did I call you Brian? Sounds weird calling you Brian. Pump Man. You got to remember, these cornerbacks, even Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson, they're out there playing, and they're getting beat up. They're looking terrible in preseason games. But you're playing in preseason games with Gabe Hall. You're playing in preseason games with Byron Young and Jacob Sykes, etc. They're not playing in these games with Zach Bond and Jalen Carter out there. When you've got your elite team out there, these quarterbacks' jobs might get a little bit easier. Phil wants security guarantees. I don't know what I need a guarantee on. 6 minutes in the show, 13 likes. Wow, damn. How about that? Let's go. Keep those likes coming in. Keep booming. Keep booming. As much as I can't stand Keely Ringo as cornerback, please keep him as a gunner. Yeah, I keep trying, Nooms, to figure out how the roster is going to play out. Like, I really thought Keely would be kept as a special teamer and a backup cornerback. But the fact he didn't see practice yesterday until like part of the twos, and he was practicing with the threes. Adoree, I thought Adoree was going to be gone. Like, how is Adoree still your starting cornerback in practice? All right, you want to try out Mac McWilliams and all these other guys? Then do that. Give them the reps. It's kind of crazy, and I can't put my finger on what they're thinking right now. You hear Vic Fangio say before practice, look, I expected somebody to grab the job by now, and no one has. Who stinks? And maybe Jacorian Bennett's not that great. Yeah, maybe Keely Ringo stinks. But outside of cornerback 2, is there a hole on this defense? And no, there's not, Pump Man. But you run out of bad things to say about Jalen, so now you're going to trash the defense? The defense is better than the offense. Gabe Hall is showing out. Gabe Hall went from they traded Thomas Booker because of Gabe Hall. Gabe Hall was a big part of why they traded Thomas Booker. Campbell, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Did I make that? No, I bet Quinion Mitchell, Defensive Player of the Year. 100. I had a free $1 bet. I think I dumped it on Q at 100-1 to win that. But absolutely possible. I mean, you see it yesterday. Zach Bond was back in 11-on-11 practices. Trot Jr. was out there at first, but most of the practice Jihaad Campbell was out there with Zach Bond, but then you also saw Zach Bond slide to the outside for pass rushing. I thought it was going to be a while till we saw Jihaad Campbell bouncing all over the field. But I think right away from week one, Jihaad Campbell's going to be out there. A huge number of snaps in the middle, on the end, all over the place. They're just going to let him do what he does best and just run hog wild. And you got to love it. Cornerback 2 is going to be a weakness and needs better depth. Same with safety. Well, I think Drew Mukuba has won that safety job. He was up first with the ones yesterday. Sidney Brown, I didn't even see his name in the practice reports yesterday. Drew Mukuba will be your starting safety opposite of Reed Blankenship unless Cooper Dejean's out there in those base formations. And that's it. But cornerback 2, while it will be bad, again, I fail to think that it's anything but maybe a little bit better than we realize once the starters are out there. I don't know if the defense is going to be so bad that cornerback 2 will be exposed. Does that make sense? Like, they're not going to be as exposed. He's going to be, whoever's cornerback 2 isn't going to be guarding Jamar Chase. They're going to be guarding the second guy. Whoever's cornerback 2 is going to have a pass rush like none other. 18 likes. Wow. They only have like 10 people watching. Guys, look at that. Look at that. The best defense is a good offense. Well, that too. And the offense looked locked in. All the reports yesterday from training camp where the Eagles offense and Jalen Hurts finally started to click a little bit. Started to gain some momentum. Jalen Hurts had one of his best training camp practices by all reports. It's time to lock in. They're working out the rust. Now the rust is off. Now it's time to lock in. Still a little concerned about A.J. Brown, hence the poll question. He is still not practicing. He still seems like he's going. Now, I saw videos of him jogging along the sideline, throwing passes. You wouldn't do that if it was a serious hamstring injury. And they're probably just being extra cautious. And Monday or Tuesday next week, when they practice, he'll probably suit up. That's my guess. But if I would say I'm not even an ounce concerned about A.J. Brown, I'd be lying to you. Brandon Johnson is better than Keeley. I think he got hurt yesterday, or he didn't practice because he was injured yesterday. His name was in the practice report. I think it was an injury. Keely Ringo, in my opinion, still has value on special teams. There's something wrong with Ringo. His processing play is worse than it was last year, and Jackson isn't any better. Bennett didn't look good, but didn't look awful. I thought Bennett, considering he had like 3 practices in the defensive scheme, I think Bennett looked pretty good on Saturday. He got beat once or twice, but he also had some nice pass breakups. He wasn't afraid to go in there and make a tackle. I think Bennett did fine. But yeah, Keely Ringo, he's had a couple years to learn. And he has not improved at all. Maybe he's regressed. Q may be shadowing more than he did last year. Well, they've already talked about that in practice. That they are working on him on both sides of the field. That they are trying their best to make him the type of cornerback that can shadow the number 1 guy. So Keely Ringo, Adoree Jackson, Mac McWilliams, Jacorian Bennett, whoever it is, won't have to guard. You won't be able to send your best wide receiver to the weak side. And I like that. Isn't that the way it always was? And sometime over the last 10 or 15 years, the NFL got away from cornerbacks shadowing. And I kind of don't like that. You come from a long line of warriors. Yeah, my father was a warrior before me. My grandfather was a warrior before that. And my great-great-grandpappy from whatever was a warrior. Where the Stiefels, it's a worry name. If you know what Stiefel actually means, you'd make jokes about that. I think why Bennett didn't look bad because he's more aggressive than Ringo and Jackson. He was out. He was on the hip of the wide receiver the whole game when he was in there. Yeah, he definitely looked a little bit more aggressive. I can agree with that. Which an aggressive kind of cornerback could be a boom bust. I've seen Raiders fans in my mentions on short videos and stuff like that saying that we're going to hate him because he's always hurt. Yeah, he was hurt last year. I know that. But we've been waiting for someone to grab this job. And look, it might be Bennett. It might be Mac McWilliams. Could you imagine the thought process of choosing Mac McWilliams, Jihaad Campbell, and Drew Mukuba all to start? Three. What was the last time a Super Bowl champion was one of the favorites to repeat as champions, and they started 3 rookies on their defense the next year? That would be kind of crazy if Mac McWilliams went. And Mac McWilliams is getting some run with the ones. He's getting all the runs with the twos. Wouldn't it be like kind of weird and insane that there is a legit chance that Mac McWilliams, Drew Mukuba, and Jihaad Campbell are all starting? But that's the state of the cornerback situation. Ringo got by on pure athleticism for the longest time. The dude has physical tools to be a Malcolm Jenkins, but he's just content to be who he is. It works for him. Hey, it works for him. Maybe he gets traded here in the coming days. Maybe that's what happens, or next week. But Ringo hasn't grabbed it. I hate when there's an opportunity. What's the other? Are you gonna grab it? Or are you gonna let it slip through your hands? He's got that opportunity. Eli Ricks has an opportunity, isn't grabbing it. The guys that have been here aren't taking advantage of their opportunities. And Adoree Jackson's being given a chance, but Adoree Jackson ain't doing anything either. I don't think cornerback 2 is on the roster. Howie never rests. Yes. But it's here's the thing, like, we know. Everybody knows. Everybody sees what's going on. And Jacorian Bennett was his move. Like, I'd like to think there's something else there, K1. And I know the cornerback, why was slipping his my mind. There's rumors that the cornerback from the Browns, Ward, might be available. I would have thought if we could see what we see with cornerback 2, they obviously see it. Why is Adoree Jackson still out there? Why is Keely Ringo still out there? Why haven't they made another move? The Jacorian Bennett wasn't a complicated. It wasn't like it was the big slam dunk move you would expect Howie to make. Jacorian Bennett was more of a depth, more of a let's see what this guy's got, a young piece. He's not out there going and swinging for the fences with Jacorian Bennett. I think Howie lets it play out in first 6 weeks for better or for worse. Yeah, well, barring a massive trade for Trey Hendrickson, I agree. I think that's what he does too. I would be not shocked if we see Mac McWilliams, maybe not start week 1, but Mac McWilliams on the field week 1 as a cornerback. Because whoever they trot out there is going to give up some plays, and they're going to switch to the rookie. I really, truly believe that. Denzel Ward, that's it. I don't know if he's got the best technique, but there are rumors starting to float, not to the Eagles. Eagles fans are connected it because of the play. And I don't know Denzel Ward's situation. I don't know his contract situation, etc. But there have been rumors starting yesterday afternoon that Denzel Ward is on the trade block from the Cleveland Browns. So there's that. Maybe it's a possibility. Let's go. I got Spot Track up on my computer here. We could type it in to see what his contract situation is. Let's see what they say on Spot Track about him. Oh, I guess I got to spell his name right too. Denzel. How am I spelling his name wrong here twice now? Anyway, I can't pull it up. I'll look again. Bennett was a quick, cheap, and available pickup. It was to see if a young kid has what it takes. And it's tough for a young kid to pick up the Fangio system super quick as well. So I don't necessarily hate it. But it's a guy you got to be patient with. Denzel Ward's contract, there's an out after this year. But he technically is under contract for a couple more years. Next year's cap hits $30 million for Denzel Ward. So I don't know about Denzel Ward now. Never sweat contracts with Howie. That's what I say. That's my line. When it comes to trading for Trey Hendrickson, I'm not worried about the money. And everyone tells me, no, you can't do it because of Jalen Carter. So we can't do Trey Hendrickson because of the money, but we could do the Denzel Ward with the money. Like, to me, that's just crazy. I mean, I agree with you. I think you would agree with me, K1. But people are going to tell me that you can't do it because of Jalen Carter's impending contract. If anybody can figure it out, It's Howie Roseman. Howie can always make the money work. There is no such thing as a salary cap when Howie Roseman is working. There's not. He finds a way. There's always more money. Denzel Ward backpedals better than anyone in the league and plays the shoulder on 50-50 balls better than anyone in the league. Well, he's available. He's 28 years old. He's under contract for a couple more years. The contract is extremely expensive, but Howie can figure that out. Howie has something up his sleeve. He won't sit back. See, I keep thinking that. But why is he still sitting back? The season starts, what's today, Tuesday? So we got 16 days until game 1. Vic Fangio has a difficult system to learn. What is he waiting for, Howie? Good morning, Little G. Hope you are well. What happens when the NFL takes the superpower away from Howie Roseman? Well, that's coming. That talk isn't until after 2030. They're going to take his superpower away in the next collective bargaining agreement. But that's still years away. We're going to have 2 more Super Bowls, maybe 3 more Super Bowls by then, Nooms. So I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about him getting us that second Super Bowl this year. Now, here's a question. We keep talking Denzel Ward and cornerback. I tried to talk Trey Hendrickson yesterday. What would you rather the Eagles do? Roll with Jacorian Bennett and Mac McWilliams as your outside corner and go get Trey Hendrickson, the best pass rusher available in football, or go get Denzel Ward and roll with you got. You're going to have to trade high-end picks and players to get either of those guys. Like Denzel Ward's going to cost you, say, a Nolan Smith or a Jalen Hunt and a second or third round draft pick. And you're going to have to pay him. Trey Hendrickson's going to cost you Nolan Smith and a second or third round pick. I know they say they want a first, but they're just saying that you could get him for a second or a third. Would you rather upgrade your already elite defensive line and make it unstoppable, which would make your cornerbacks? Getting Trey Hendrickson would make Mac McWilliams or Dory Jackson's job 1,000 times easier. They would only have to cover guys for 3 seconds versus 5 seconds. Or do you go get the cornerback and have the greatest secondary in football? Phil's in denial. I'm not in denial about anything. Let's not start that. Eagles did the world a solid by not having to see Mahomes on every single commercial anymore. He's still out there far too much. Far too much is he out there. Did K1 major in grief studies in college? Maybe. Missed the Fumble Rooski commercials? I don't know if I missed them. I don't miss anything with them. I don't need them on my TV. The Kelseys on my TV. Jason or Travis. I don't need them. I mean, you're good. You're like a psychiatrist for me on here. You're trying to break me down. Get me to open up. Howie will just figure out how to use his normal powers. I find it funny that something that helps players will get it killed by the CBA. Like, yeah, it's kind of crazy. And people don't understand. We understand it. We talk about it here. Howie isn't like some magic man that just he's not fudging the numbers. He's using the tools in front of him, and he's best maximizing them. And he also has an owner willing to write out those big bonus checks. And that's why it works. Those bonus checks that Jeffrey Lurie writes out, signing bonuses, is what makes his process work. If the Bengals owner wanted to be successful, he could write out those big checks up front for Trey Hendrickson and Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase earlier on, fix the salary cap. But when Jalen Hurts' contract doesn't affect the salary cap forever, it is what it is. I think the process taught me about grief. Let's not bring the process into the equation. We are like a month and a half away from training, maybe a month from training camp for the Sixers. I'm sure we'll dabble in Sixers dreck eventually. Just because the NFL Players Association leadership is in the back pocket, Howie's method has increased player pay scale. Yeah, maybe, I guess so. It definitely taught me the stages of grief. Yeah, taught us a lot. Guys, please like, please subscribe, please share, and vote on our poll question. I'm actually shocked that no A.J. Brown will not play week 1 versus the Dallas Cowboys is the leading vote. I'm normally the negative guy. I'm the worry wart, and I'm still at this point not worried. And so far, 55% of you that have voted said no, he will not play, to 45% saying yes. Definitely a concern right there. Definitely a major concern with A.J. Brown. And what does this, we go out, we get Jhoan Mechie, which I still feel, well, what happened there? We had like 18 likes. Now we got like 12 likes. What is going on with YouTube today? We go out and get Jhoan Mechie, and we're not sure why. We don't know. He'll be there today to practice. Well, I don't know how much he'll practice, but he'll be there working with the team today. You've got this deep wide receiver room battle going on. You add more to it. And I would lie if I didn't say that when you see A.J. Brown still not practicing and you bring in another young wide receiver with loads of potential, that doesn't creep into my back of the head that they're having a backup plan because they're concerned about A.J. Brown. A.J. would not have been on the sideline of practice if he was really hurt. He would definitely play. That's what I like to think. And Anthony, I don't know if you saw the same videos I saw. Him jogging on the sidelines, throwing footballs. Like he looked like a guy that was just being overly cautious. And A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts have a connection that is no problem whatsoever to just pick it up when it's time. He can even skip next week's practice and just practice week 1 leading into the football game and probably be good to go. I haven't seen A.J. Brown's gait at all. Haven't paid attention. Is it off? His gait? I don't know what his gait means. I don't know how I lost 6 likes. Unless there was something wrong with YouTube and they just weren't really. I don't know. What is up, Bruce Harper? How you doing? Good morning to you. Hope you are well today. 21 likes on the poll. It's creeping closer to even there. Now on the poll question. Yes, Phil. AJ looked fine. I think they are being super cautious. And I like that. I'm okay with being super cautious. I always say back injuries and hamstring injuries bother me more than ACL tears or Tommy John surgery or whatever. Because you know exactly when somebody, it's going to be an 8-month or 6-month. It's going to be a long recovery. Hammies, they just linger. It just hangs around, a hamstring injury. The hammy has this unbridled enthusiasm. That just doesn't want to go away. Gait equals manner of walking. Oh, is that like cool hip lingo? So you're an old head that knows cool lingo as well? Well, his manner of walking, I mean, he's jogging out there without a limp. Jogging out on and off the field. I don't know if I would say he was running yesterday, but he was jogging at a brisk speed. He was getting the job done. He was doing a little hop with the football and throwing it. I saw Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce at the U.S. Open, and enough already. Purist, dude, they could go away forever. And millions of people tuned in to the Kelce podcast because Taylor Swift was going to be on it. I didn't watch but 1 second of it. I only saw 1 second because it was a clip on my threads. I would never, ever watch it because of her. A gait is the length, method, and pace of a step of a creature. Well, he didn't spell it G-A-T-E. He spelled it G-A-I-T. Phil, I hope AJ can play, but I feel Nick should not risk having him get worse if he's not 100%. And I think that is why they're not practicing him right here. That is why he's not out in the practice field now going on for what, 2.5 weeks? AJ Brown's, well, he was rated the 29th player in all of football yesterday. That was the 5th Eagle of on the list. I'm assuming 2 more, and Jalen Hurts and Lane Johnson will be on that list. Jalen Hurts or AJ Brown doesn't need to practice to get ready for the season. He doesn't need to practice to get on the same page with Jalen Hurts. They can figure it out. So I like them being cautious. Okay? Again, we don't need him pushing it and then tearing the hamstring or something like that, or having a worse grade strain that keeps him out for 6 weeks. They'll figure out. Plus, him sitting gives Jalen Hurts time to continue to develop that repertoire and that connection with Jihaad Dotson, which it's growing, to continue working on gaining some reps with Johnny Wilson and whoever else. You misspelled gate. Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't judge. I don't hold anybody accountable for their mistakes, like others do. But yeah, I would lie, Bruce, if I didn't say there's that little ounce. Look, I know every time I say, why can't we have nice things in Phillies? Everyone says, well, you just won a Super Bowl. What are you talking about? But as a Philadelphia sports fan, we've been hurt and broken and beaten mentally so many times that it always leaves that little room for doubt in the back of your head with every situation. And I would lie if I said that the A.J. Brown situation doesn't have a little doubt in the back of my mind. I think he'll be fine. I think it'll be okay. I think he will play week 1. But I can't say that 100% sure. And because it's not 100% sure, that's some of the scars of Philadelphia sports fandom of the past creeping through. And there ain't no doubt about that. I feel it's dumb that Hurts is not on the list of the top 4 quarterbacks as he is. So Jalen Hurts hasn't been listed yet on the NFL's top 100 list. Jordan Mailata was 69. Cooper Dejean was 60. Quinton Mitchell, 49. Jalen Carter, 43. A.J. Brown was 29. Lane Johnson and Jalen Hurts, I would assume, will be on that list still. So I don't know what the NFL list, who they'll have ahead of him. I know he won't be number 1 or anything like that. But I would expect both those names to be on it. Look, it's just more fuel for the fire for Jalen Hurts. Winning the Super Bowl, winning Super Bowl MVP, it's not enough to prove his worth. People will point out the negatives instead of the positives. And finally, you are starting to see some of the media occasionally, the ones that have criticized him in the past, slowly you're starting to see a little bit of a change in the Jalen Hurts conversation. Less people are using him as the clickbait way to get at us or to gain likes. People are starting to realize Jalen Hurts is the real deal. And I think the next evolution of Jalen Hurts is coming this year. And I talked about it earlier. And when we hear Jalen Hurts talk in press conferences about how important winning the Super Bowl and how important getting that Super Bowl MVP was for him validation-wise, it proved to him that he can do it. And that meant something to him. So now when he goes and tells himself, I want to do it this year, he knows he could do it. So he knows his process and his method works to get him what he wants, which is another championship. And that's the next development in Jalen Hurts. Going from the guy trying to prove himself to going to the confident guy that wants to prove he can do it again and again and again. Going from the guy that probably had a little bit of self-doubt from all the noise. But now there is no self-doubt because he knows his process works. He knows his way of doing business can get them to the title. He knows he can do it by backing off and letting Saquon Barkley do his thing. He knows he can do it when Saquon Barkley gets stopped. The next evolution of Jalen Hurts is going to be going from the underdog to going to the confident, dominant person. I hope it doesn't get any cockiness in there, but whatever. I don't think that's his personality. I feel that is a good point, as if they put Allen, Burrows, Mahomes, and Jackson ahead of Jalen, then he will try even harder, even if only Mahomes has only won the Super Bowl. Yeah, look, people will always put Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson ahead of him, whether it's right or wrong. They're always going to be ranked. And Patrick Mahomes can always be ranked ahead of him. I'm fine with that. Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion, is already a top 5 quarterback all time. But we know they're always going to put those other guys ahead of him because they do it flashier. They do it. They put up the I like to call them the hollow stats. They put up the numbers. But they don't put up the wins when it matters. They don't make the plays when it matters most. That's fine. I'll count my Super Bowl championships, and that's what Jalen Hurts is thinking. I'll count my Super Bowl championships while those guys count how many lists they're ahead of him on. And all those guys have excuses. Jalen Hurts' excuse is he's got a super team. Of course he wins. And then the other excuse is the other teams, the other quarterbacks don't have super teams. That's why they can't win. So the super team is held against Jalen Hurts, but the lack of a super team is the excuse why the others don't win. Do I think if Jalen Hurts was on another team, he would get more respect? It's an interesting question, an interesting theory. Maybe, because the people who disrespect him are the media, right? Content creators. And they know the best way to get clicks is to trash Philadelphia. Plain and simple. So would he do it? Maybe, maybe not. But I think Jalen Hurts got the opportunity to even be successful here because of the organization. I think Jalen Hurts' success and meteoric rise is because of the team around him, not the players, the coaches, the organization, giving him the benefit of the doubt, putting him in a place to succeed, giving him the vote of confidence when no one else would. What other city could he go to have the success he's had where he would get or not get the respect? I think you've got to look at it that way as well, Adam. Jalen Hurts' success is because of the Eagles organization. Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, while they're not best friends, they still work perfectly together. And that's part of the reason of the success. And that's why they get the respect or don't get the respect. So you just take Jalen Hurts off and put him on the Cowboys. The Cowboys wouldn't be better or worse. Jalen Hurts would still put the effort in, but who knows? You put him on the 49ers, who knows? You put him on the Patriots, who knows? Harper's the first player in MLB to have multiple 440-foot home runs in the same game, first Philly to do it in the StatCast era. I won't lie, I didn't watch one pitch of last night's game. I got the box score up. I know they scored a lot of runs. I know Jordan Romano still stinks. I know Harper had 2 home runs. I did not know that. Had company over last night, and we were doing some things. So, yeah, did not know that, but that's pretty cool. Hopefully Bryce Harper's starting to turn that corner and get hot for the playoffs. As San Francisco had the super team a few years ago in that run to the Super Bowl, no one says much about that. Yeah, I think everything about it, super team, the success or not success of your quarterback, I think you have to have a good, strong, foundational organization. That it's not like Jalen Hurts was this blue chip #1 overall pick prospect. It's not like he was Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams might have more success in the Philadelphia Eagles organization, not because of the super team, but because of the strong leadership, the strong personalities calling the shots. Howie Roseman, shit or get off the pot. It's like the Bears are a poorly run organization, so Caleb Williams, the #1 overall pick, is going to struggle to take that next step. I think it all plays into each other. Eagles had the dream team a decade ago and didn't go anywhere. That's true. That's very true. Dallas had tons of talent that could have gotten to the Super Bowl, and they haven't succeeded past the first game. And why is that? It's because of the organization. It's because of Superman Jerry Jones. Hurts on those Niners teams would have won. Yeah. I mean, you put Jalen Hurts on a team, they're going to win. You put him on a really good team, they're going to contend for the Super Bowl. But it doesn't mean about a long-term success. And I kind of got off topic because of Adam's question. I got off his question into a different direction because of my answer. But I think Jalen Hurts thrives not just because of the great talent around him, but the talent in the offices, the talent in the coaching room. And you put him elsewhere, he might have a one-off good season because of his pure heart and determination and talent, but I don't know if that organization would have long-term success. With San Francisco and possibly Dallas, that dream team was a character nightmare because character matters. I don't think people understand how much character in a locker room character in a front office, character in a philosophy on a sports team really truly matters. Because it really does. You got to have strong, good character people leading the teams. That was Andy in YOLO mode. All those desperation moves backfired. Yeah. Dude, we could do a whole series of shows on that offseason and all the mistakes that were made that offseason. All of them. Because there was a lot of them. If Hurts was on the Jets the last few years, might have made a run. I mean, yeah, you give him Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson? Whatever. We didn't go gain 8 subscribers, did we? Is that possible? Is it possible? I doubt it, because also the likes went down. I'm refreshing. I got to see this, Adam. It does say 599. I have a feeling that ain't going to last. Just like you originally had us at like 17 likes, and it dropped to 12. But now it's back up to 15. Something seems fishy with YouTube this morning. But whatever. I'll take it. If we're at 599, that's great. I just don't know. But anyway, where was I? I'm trying to think if Jalen Hurts was on the Jets with Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. They even had Devontae Adams for a minute there. They had a really good defense. They would have won games. I don't know if the offensive line was good enough, but they would have won games. Putting a zone cornerback like Nnamdi and asking him to play man was ridiculous. Getting Murray to play running back in that system was never going to work. There were so many things in that era that were done so bad. Although Murray was more Chip Kelly, not Andy Reid. Timeline off again. Sorry. Always off with the timeline. Jets had talent on that offense and defense during those years. They did. They did. Nnamdi, I don't even think Nnamdi Asomugha was actually cooked. I think it was more that he just didn't want to play football. Wasn't he like a neuroscientist or something like that? He had some big medical degree, or he was working on it. He wanted to be an actor. Football was like the 4th or 5th most important thing on his list. Kind of like Scotty Scheffler, where golf's not the most important thing. The only difference is Scotty Scheffler is the greatest golfer in the world. But Nnamdi wasn't the greatest football player in the world. Football was like the last thing on his mind. And when you don't take football seriously anymore, you don't just become cooked. Like, you risk getting hurt too. Nnamdi just didn't want it anymore. And I don't get that. But the Jets not having to pay Hurts first-round money could have paid for the O-line. Absolutely. But then when it was time to pay Jalen Hurts, and you don't have Howie Roseman constructing a deal that will help the team. Because let's be honest, Jalen Hurts signed his contract, 2 years ago? And it hasn't affected the team one bit in signing and retaining players. Jalen Hurts succeeds because of the Eagles. Howie Roseman's success succeeds because of Jeffrey Lurie. Nick Sirianni succeeds because of Howie Roseman. The Eagles are built as the perfect organization in football right now because of how all the pieces work together. Everybody's given the tools to succeed. And they miss sometimes. Obviously, cornerback 2 right now is a miss for the Eagles because they got so many hits. You can get around it. DRC was the guy who didn't really care. Yeah, right. When we got DRC, I was like, damn, that was another great pickup. You don't take your craft seriously anymore. You have set a ceiling. Yeah. Maybe if Jalen Hurts wore a floppy old lady hat, the media would take, yeah. If Jalen Hurts didn't dress like, look, I'm jealous of the way Jalen Hurts dresses. I mean, he looks like you see some of these athletes, football, baseball, basketball, and the way they dress nowadays. You look at the kids nowadays, how they dress. And you're just like, what? That ain't stylish? Or am I wrong? And Jalen Hurts comes out and proves I'm not wrong. Because Jalen Hurts, I don't always like his color combinations. I'll be honest. There's that brown. He had that brownish colored suit on the other day, or maybe last year. I was like, that's not my color. But he always looks Rico. He does. You're on the Mount Beast trajectory. If I get 1/10 of Mount Mr. Beast, I'd be happy. Hurts is old school on point. He really is. He's very, not just in his appearance, but his mentality, his work ethic. You know, I always say the kids of today don't have the work ethic that we had. And I'm sure my dad said the kids didn't have the work ethic he did. Jalen Hurts is in that old school 60s, 70s, 80s work hard mindset where hard work pays off. Phil needs chains. What do I need chains? You want me to wear some? No. I never really was a gold chain or old jewelry person. I remember there was a little stretch of me getting. If you've ever been on a cruise, you know what inch of gold is. I had a lot of inch of gold chains. You only know that if you've been on a cruise. His dress and music really yells maturity. Yeah, he does listen to some great music too. It does. The level of delusion in the fan base with that dream team was unreal, comparing their cornerback situation to Phillies' 4 aces. I don't remember calling it that, but yeah, we were really hyped. We were really, really, really hyped. It's just your color wouldn't work with those colors. Look, I'm a blue guy. I mean, 90% of my outfits are either black or blue. I got one red Foxes shirt. I wear dark colors. I love my blues, though. Love my blues. But not like flashy blues. But that's just me. Guys, you're watching Trading the Aim. If you haven't already, please hit that like button. Please hit that share button and please subscribe. Vote on the poll. We're kind of stuck at 21 votes on the poll right now. Will A.J. Brown play week 1 versus the Dallas Cowboys? Basically asking this poll question because while I think he will play, I would lie if I said there was not a little 1 ounce of concern that he might not play. Just one show. You want me to go word life? Was anybody at Monday Night Raw last night? I didn't watch a second of it, but I know Monday Night Raw was in Philadelphia last night. I know Mark Moschitelli was there with his championship belt. I know a lot of Philly media, sports media people were there. Do I need to get a little John Cena thug life? I used to rock heavy gold chains and tracksuits in the late 90s. I never did. And early 2000s, I thought I was the shit. I did. I would say if I had to make fun of anybody for their outfits in the Stiefel household, it would be my older brother, Will, who was big in the, let's just, how do I say this nicely? He did not believe he was a white man, okay? He did. He used to have the flat top haircut, used to wear the overalls with the orange shirt with the one flap down, rocking that around Springfield back in the day. There's still a picture of him somewhere with that overalls with the flap down, the orange shirt, his flat top, Will Smith type haircut. Yeah. Never wore that. I was an Alex P. Keaton type. Again, you got to remember, I went to Catholic school. I went to private high school. So my wardrobe as a teenager consisted of more shirts and ties and suit coats than it did other things. I didn't get to wear whatever I wanted to school every day. All right? So I just had my weekend garb. And most of my wardrobe was sports stuff. I don't know how many Philly shirts I had, how many Eagles shirts I had as a kid. My wardrobe has basically, the only change to my wardrobe over the years from the late 80s, early 90s to now is that instead of wearing jorts, I wear khaki shorts. I don't even own a pair of jorts anymore. That's probably the only thing that I have changed over the years. Yeah, I didn't want to say that word. I don't even know if that word's allowed to be said, but yeah, that's basically what I was trying to. I think you picked up on what I was saying there, Duck. Talking alpha vet coaches like Jim Washburn and expect them to just chill with Juan Castillo calling the shots. That's just tone deafness as human tendencies. Look, let's not worry about the past. Let's not worry about the dream team. You know why? Because the current team we got, in all reality, is the dream team, right? This current Eagles, no matter how bad cornerback 2 looks, this team is very dream team-esque. You've got superstar talent all over the place. All over the place, superstar talent. And it's superstar talent that's not going anywhere. It's superstar talent that I'm not concerned with Howie Roseman keeping it. Even if he wants to go get Trey Hendrickson or Denzel Ward. I think that'll be the poll question tomorrow. Who would you prefer? Let's turn the page to a new page here for this note for tomorrow. That'll be tomorrow. Denzel Ward or Trey. I don't even have to write Trey's last name down. All right? My mother brought more things that said Italia than any human would have. I don't think I owned it as an Italian. I don't think I had any Italian stuff like that. I always had the little pepper thing hanging in my car when I was a kid, but that was about it. I don't even remember what they were called, but I had one of those hanging in my first car, my 1983 Buick Century. But anyway, guys, like, share, subscribe, keep it going. But where this quarterback battle goes, I guess, is still the biggest question. Again, because like I said, Drew Mukuba is your starting safety. I am curious. Here's something else I'll say. I'm curious how the snap distribution between Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and Jihaad Campbell will go. I think Jihaad Campbell is the starting linebacker opposite Zack Wheeler, but he is going to slide on the outside. And Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is having a phenomenal training camp. Phenomenal training camp. So the question is, how do they mix all three of those in and make sure you keep someone like Jihaad Campbell on the field as much as possible? I'm really curious to see week one, not in a preseason game, not in practice. I'm curious to see how week one you figure out that rotation. Because let's be honest, outside of Hunt and Nolan Smith, there are still questionable questions at edge. Azeez Ojulari, Josh Uche, Antoine Powell-Ryland might even make it, might just get to the practice squad. Patrick Johnson might make this team. That's how bad edge is at this point in the depth department. So Jihaad Campbell will be needed to rush the passer at times. So I'm really curious where this rotation between Trotter and Jihaad Campbell lands week one, September 4th. 16 days away when we're doing it. And in 16 days, that is when we will be giving away or drawing the raffles for our Eagles Autism Foundation fundraiser, raffling off 3 great prizes. Ducks football that says Cooper Dejean and Darius Slay's autograph, this A.J. Brown signed photo, and of course, the Brandon Graham signed poster, strip sack poster that Peanut's donating. $5 raffle tickets, no limit on how many you can buy. We are over $500 raised. How do you buy your raffle tickets? You Venmo me at Phil Stiefel. And again, September 4th, live, 7:30. Right here on this channel, we will give these prizes away. We will draw the raffles. So make sure you get in it. You can't win it if you're not in it. Gold prices have jacked up my gold chains net worth to like 7,000. Is that right? Well, all my gold chains when I was a kid weren't real gold chains. If you don't know what inch of gold is, you don't know. Yeah, well, it said 17 likes and it dropped to 12. So I'm expecting this $5.99 to drop to like $4.10 in like 5 minutes here. I always found it funny that every tracksuit chain kid I grew up loved to steal from a culture. They hate it. Yeah, the people from that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's growing up in Ridley, playing at North Avenue or South Avenue Field. I saw a lot of different cultures. It was interesting. I might have gone to Holy Cross in Springfield, but I was a Ridley kid playing ball in the courts there. Edge will take care of itself even at depth. I don't think that will be a problem. I don't even think the pass rush will be a problem. I don't think the pass rush will be a problem. But the problem is that Jihaad Campbell's so good, he needs to be on the field at all times. But Jeremiah Trotter Jr. hasn't done anything to lose any of his snaps as well. And I would say, I don't think I'm being too bold to say that Jihaad Campbell on the edge as a rookie is already better than Ojulari, already better than Uche, already better than everybody else at that position. So at what point are we going to see, here's the question, are we going to see formations with Zack Baun, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., and Jihaad Campbell all on the field at the same time? They thought they were cutting corners to get what? Yeah. Should the MLB expansion into Japan? If no, then what about Mexico? They will not expand MLB into Japan. I know there's some talk about expansion and realignments. That is something we will eventually get into talking about. They will the same reasons why the NFL will not have an expansion team in Europe is the same reason why MLB won't have an expansion team in Japan, because of travel. It'll just get too much and too complicated. The Japan team coming over to overseas all the time, back over here, it just wouldn't happen. It wouldn't work. Maybe if they want to do Mexico, they could do that. If they wanted to go back to Montreal, they could do that. But you'll never get an expansion team in any U.S. sport where you have to travel across the pond, either side. You'll just never get it because I think the logistics of it are far too complicated. So that's just not going to happen. Well, thank you very much, Adam. Putting in the work. Putting in the dirty work for the channel. That's what I love. I'm loving the prospect of Campbell as a pass rusher. I mean, I've loved it since day one. But early on in training camp, early on in off-season activities, we heard Vic Fangio say how much he was going to just work on the inside because there's so much to learn. So the question to me then to that is, did he just learn all the inside stuff so quick that they could try other things out? Or do they just see how purely talented he is and they got to make sure he's on the field at all times? If you want MLB to continue to drift towards quadruple A, then yes, go ahead and expand. They're going to expand MLB. They are not going to expand overseas. Maybe Mexico, maybe another team in Canada, maybe. But that's it. Trotter is not getting on the field. He is mid. Now, before the offseason started, I agreed with you on this because I was saying how much of a big loss Nakobe Dean was. And everyone's like, no, they'll be fine without Nakobe Dean because Trot Jr., is going to be great. And I've said this plenty of times. But now in training camp and OTAs and stuff, it seems like he's really developing nicely. Kind of keep forgetting about Nakobe Dean and if and when he'll ever be ready to play this year. And if that's not enough already, bring in Adelaide Aussie Leagues to you. Yeah, no, not happening. Mondin is super athletic. It's crazy. K1, we've talked about this in the past. How different the linebacker room is, talent-wise now, to just a couple years ago. Remember when we were upset because we lost T.J. Edwards and Kazir White? Dude, we are so deep at linebacker. We're so deep at linebacker, we have talked maybe for 3 seconds over the last 4 weeks about Nakobe Dean, who was arguably having just as good of a season as Zach Bond last year before his injury. We are so deep at the line. The change in philosophy of this organization at running back and linebacker is something that needs to be studied. How quickly Howie reevaluated his philosophies there. Good morning, Brianna. Yes, Phillies won. Philip, fear not your success and responsibilities that come with it. Caesar Fury, Alfonso for the case study. I grew up with 0 Asian players in MLB. Do you know how much I loved when Chen on this team and he wasn't even a good player? Ichiro made me feel represented in a game I love. So Doc, why is it that so few of the Asian players that come over here want to play in a city like Philadelphia? I mean, really, most of them want to play in Seattle or California, probably because of the travel distance to home. A few of them have ended up with the Yankees. But not just the Phillies. They either go to small market teams or they stay on the West Coast. Is that simply because of the travel? Because the Phillies are never in on the top Asian players when they're ready to come over here. They just aren't. And it's always kind of annoyed me a little bit. Bruce Chen, yes. Travel distance to home is really what it is. And that's what I figured. That's what I assume. Is there something that East Coast teams like the Phillies, or I don't even know what other East Coast teams I would bring into the equation, but would it be crazy? Is there anything that they could do to convince the next time a Shohei Ohtani is available? Is there anything they could do to bring them over here? Because it would help this city. It would help a lot of Asian fans latch onto a player. Also, the money you make, because those Asian markets latch onto their players when they come to MLB. They love LA, San Francisco, and they love Seattle too. They love the West Coast because of how close it is to home. I mean, it's not close, but it's closer. Yankees get them because of brand recognition. Exactly. I mean, the Yankees are more of a brand than any other baseball team. Who's a bigger brand, the Yankees or the Cowboys? Because they're both huge brands that kind of they're more of a brand than a sport. There's something like weird and special there. Our Asian representation, is our off front office? Is it the the reps that they send over to evaluate and talk to these guys? Does our front office not know how to attract them? Or do we not have something that they want outside of travel distance? It's always been something that I've been curious about outside of the travel part. Because we're never in. We brought over somebody from the Korean Baseball League this year. I don't even think he made the team. I don't even know if he's in our minor league system. We get like the third stringers. We get the third, fourth level prospects over here. You want to hear something funny? There is a manga, Asian comic books about baseball, where the players go from the Korean League to the Phillies. That's news to me, but okay. Manga. I learn a new thing every day. Yankees have been around a lot longer, but the NFL is more profitable. I mean, you look at what they gave out the team league valuations in the NFL. The Eagles are 6 on that list. The Cowboys are worth, was it like $13 billion right now? I mean, god damn. Marcus Lisa, I don't even know what that means or who that is. But we are at the top of the hour, guys. We're past the top of the hour. If you haven't already, please hit that like button. Please share, please subscribe. Sitting at 599 subscribers. Holy shit. Dallas Cowboys are greater than the Yankees, in my honest opinion. We're not talking about the team. We're talking about they're larger than life. They're more than just a sports team. Their image, their reputation, their brand recognition. I don't know. I'd be hard to agree with that, Purist. I would almost say the Yankees are a bigger brand. It's close, in my opinion. But I would probably say that the Yankees are just there. He's a mid-price. I didn't know if that was some slang for a joke that I was missing. I don't know. So Asian players from Asia don't like going to teams that they think are bad luck, and the Phillies being the losingest team in the world. Does that? Okay, you know what? I've heard that Asians are very superstitious. We are the losingest franchise in the history of all sports. We are the only team in the history of sports that has over 11,000 losses. We've got 2 titles in 140, 4 years? So that does play a factor into it, potentially. And I think that's kind of funny, but also it makes sense. It does. Dallas almost had me as a fan because of Dat and Wynn played there. I don't even know who that is. See, I never, maybe because I'm a white guy, but I never latched onto an athlete because of my Italian or German heritage. I didn't follow Marco Bellinelli, who just retired, by the way. Now it's his retirement. I didn't follow him around because he was the Italian stallion of the NBA. I didn't become a bigger Dirk Nowitzki fan because he was German. I guess it's different for other cultures. I mean, my Italian heritage, I could track my family back to Italy. I can't track my dad's side back to Germany or anything like that, but I can on the other sides. Getting close to Mitchie Poo numbers, yeah. But it's over at 599. That means we're 70 away. Let's see if he misses it again. We should have a ceremony for 666. Absolutely have a ceremony for 666. That Nguyen was a solid linebacker for Dallas. Psh, missed that one. I missed that guy's career. Didn't even know he exists. During their early 90s and stuff like that, late 80s. Missed that part of that career. Wait, you don't love Mike Mamula? No. I always felt bad for Mike Mamula. Always felt bad for him. He was actually a pretty solid quality edge rusher for the Eagles. He really was. His problem was being drafted too high. If Mike Mamula was taken in the 2nd round, but had the exact same career with the Eagles, would Eagles fans think differently of Mike Mamula? Would he be on that all-time bust list like he is? I don't even think he deserves to be on the all-time bust list because he still had a solid career. He just never lived up to the expectations of that draft spot. Phil is thinking about locking on to Jordan Romano. What am I doing with Jordan Romano? No, I'm not. Him and his, what's his ERA up to now after last night? Let me get back into here. His ERA is up to 7.56. But don't worry. He had a 2.5 ERA in May. so he could do it. How is Jordan Romano still on the Phillies roster? Mike Mamula had zero ability to stop the run. Yeah, and some guys are just third down rush specialists. Problem is the Eagles tried to make him more than he should be because they drafted him so high. It was the GM that drafted Mike Mamula. That was before Joe Banner took over, I think, right? John Harris was a bigger bust. There's a lot of bigger busts. Well, remember the early days of MLB and NFL, lots of Italians and Jews supported their players because, again, at the time, representation was important. These are times where no Italians or dogs were around and Jews were constantly, They made a big deal about Harris's height. I don't even remember. Honestly, I know the name John Harris. I don't even remember him. I remember zero things about his career, other than that he was listed as a bust. I always just thought it was, I never had that attachment, Nooms, to an Italian athlete or a German athlete. And I've been to Italy. I've been to Germany. I feel a lot of pride for my Italian culture. I love my Italian cooking. I wish I knew more about it. I thought about doing those ancestry check things to find more of my family. Was Ray Rhodes calling the shots as the draft slots back then? I don't even remember who the GM was during the Ray Rhodes era. Let's not forget. Ray Rhodes won more playoff games than Buddy Ryan, okay? He won more playoff games than Buddy Ryan. So he won a playoff game with Rodney MVP as his quarterback, whose wife's way more famous and better than him. But let's not forget about that. So before we bash Ray Rhodes, let's remember who Ray Rhodes truly was. I love history. That's why I appreciate Peanut's YouTube channel. Yeah, I sometimes forget to check it out, but I do enjoy it very, very much so. Peanut does great work. Josh Harris was defensive end from Virginia, I think was, and no shot to make it Ray Rhodes special on arm length. Gotcha. Good morning. Ocean City, Maryland or Ocean City, New Jersey? Because one is much greater than the other. You having kids, you're probably in New Jersey because it's more of a kid-friendly place. I'm more of a Maryland fan because of all the great golf courses around it. But good morning from you. I figured it was New Jersey. You're a family man. Enjoy it. Enjoy the weather. It's going to be cooler. If it's cooler here, it's got to be cooler down there. You'll be in OC next week. Look at you. You guys all going to the beach. Meanwhile, I'm still here. Don't do the DNA stuff. They get that in their database, then you are on a list that corporations will sell to anyone. Yeah, it's part of why I've never done it. Partly also because we other parts of my family, not my family, my wife's family, have done it, and they found some lost relatives through it. But yeah. Rich Kotite had more playoff wins than Buddy Ryan. Absolutely did. About to go jet skiing. Oh, look at you. I'm sure you're going to have a blast doing that. Is it a little cooler down there? I know today's only supposed to be like 72 up here. So I would assume that down the shore, it's probably in the low 70s, high 60s max. But we got a cool week going on, which is good because I got a busy-ass week at the pizza shop this week. But enjoy yourself, Rick. Don't think sports for the next couple of days. Think family, beach, and memories because that's what it's all about. Don't get me started on the walk through the desert that the Kotite years were. It's so funny. I love it. Like 15 years ago, the sports scramble. It was a show at like 2 a.m. on Comcast Sportsnet where they would show old the sports show. And it was Rich Kotite, not Rich. They were talking Rich Kotite. It was a 1980 something, 1990 early something. Mike Missinelli arguing with Angelo Cataldi and arguing with Glenn McNeil on whether Rich Kotite was the right coach or not, and they were going back and forth. It was hilarious. Don't do it in James Bond, No Time to Die. They use ancestry DNA to target Bond and kill him. There you go. Well, it happened in a James Bond movie, so it must happen in real life. It's cool, but that's fine with me. I'm in the pale side. I'm very German. Yeah, it's true. I don't get the dark skin from my Italian. I have the pale German side skin. Dire times they were, my friends. They were. I got a spring 3Gs for the new pool liner. Got 13 years out of this one. I'm having a great time. Thanks. Great to see the Phillies light it up against a really good Seattle team yesterday. Absolutely. Absolutely agree. I mean, the only downside of yesterday's game was Jordan Romano still getting up. Like, I know you have to have a bad, like, your back-end pitchers pitch in blowouts. The only bad thing that comes out of yesterday's game is just reaffirmation that Jordan Romano shouldn't be on the roster. And I don't get why they don't just cut ties. I'd be afraid of finding more family, barely like the ones I know. That's true. That is very true, Big Al. Very true. Dejean is moving to outside cornerback. Hate to say, I told you so. I think Cooper Dejean did get some reps at outside corner yesterday. And I've said it before, ultimately that's where he probably wants to play because that's where the most money is, mister. You make the most money as outside cornerback, not slot corner. And I think he's going to be the outside corner in base formation, not safety. So I think Drew Mukuba is your starting safety. I think you're going to see a combination of Quinion Mitchell, Cooper Dejean, and either Mac McWilliams or Jacorian Bennett week one. And I think they're just going, I think your cornerback, I don't think we have outside or slot corners. We just got 3 corners that are going to float. Romano needs to be gone. I mean, needs to be like gone 6 weeks ago. Makes no sense that he's still here. Never get a pool, bad for resale, never get your money back. Yeah, my wife really wants one, so we'll probably be getting one in the next couple of years. Who was the Eagles' worst coach all time? In my lifetime of watching football, which would have started in the mid-'80s, worst coach of my lifetime, it would be a toss-up between Rich Kotite and Buddy Ryan, in my opinion. See, I threw a little dig at Buddy Ryan there. Rich Kotite probably wins. Rich Kotite, Buddy Ryan, and Ray Rhodes. Because since then, they've all been really great. That's a myth now since COVID, right? Marion Campbell, pretty bad coach. Before my time, though, I don't want to judge worst coaches of all time, worst players of all time, if I didn't really get to watch them. Like, I think 1987 was the first Super Bowl I remember watching with my dad. About that time frame, maybe 1988. But I'm 44. I mean, I know who Marion Campbell is. I know the Eagles were bad then. But I'd rather just judge it off of my time frame than anything else. But I think that's the fair way to do it. Much fairer way to do it. Ray Rhodes did have 2 winning seasons. He won a playoff game. And it wasn't like he had a stud team. He had a really good defense. He did have probably my most underrated Eagles defensive player of all time, William Thomas, on his team. Loved Willie T. Willie T is one of my favorite players of all time at linebacker. But he was winning playoff game with Rodney Pate of all guys. Bought the house with the pool, didn't sink the money into it. That's good. I wish. We looked at a house that had a pool, but it just didn't fit our needs. Guys, we're coming up on the final 15. If you haven't already, please like, please share, please subscribe, and please vote on the poll. We are at 27 votes. 56% say yes, 44% say no. Will A.J. Brown play week 1? The more you think about it, does, and we're at 17 likes here, and we are still at 599 on the subscriber number, which is fantastic. Does the John Mechie trade play into your opinion at all on A.J. Brown? Ray Rhodes was a great defensive mind and really good eye for talent. He drafted guys like Dawkins and Trotter. I mean, that's pretty good talent right there. This night's schedule has me missing the show. You know, how dare you put working life, Tim, ahead of trending in the AM? What's up with that? Worst Eagles coach would be Rich Kotite in your lifetime, Phil. Buddy Ryan, I consider the best. Why is Buddy Ryan, no offense, Jonathan, good morning to you. Welcome to chat. Why is Buddy Ryan the greatest coach in Eagles history? He never won a goddamn playoff game, let alone a Super Bowl. Right now, the top tier of Eagles coaches of all time, right now I put Nick Sirianni 1. I put Doug Peterson 2. I put Andy Reid 3. In my lifetime, probably Ray Rhodes 4, Buddy Ryan 5, Rich Kotite 6. Doug Peterson might be below Andy Reid, honestly. Buddy Ryan and the Kelly Green era is the most overrated, overhyped era in Eagles football. He was a con man. He didn't know shit about shit. He was a good defensive mind. He had arguably the greatest defensive player of all time. He had multiple Hall of Fame defensive players. He didn't win shit. Willie T is quite possibly a top 5 or 10 linebacker in Philly, but he never gets talked about, News. People always talk Seth Joyner. People always talk Byron Evans. People never talk about Willie T. Willie T was a GOAT back in his day. I loved watching Willie T play. Buddy's held high because he was held back by the owner who hated him and was cheap, but his defense made Philly fans believe and love the pain they brought. Cool. He's still the most overrated coach possibly in the history of Philadelphia sports. Seth Joyner, Byron Evans, Willie T, all great linebackers. I agree that I think Seth Joyner should probably be in the Hall of Fame. When you really go back and look at what he did, he should be. He could go down as one of the greatest defensive coordinators of all time. But as a head coach, no way. The Buddy Ryan hate is shocking. He was the epitome of Philly sports in the 80s. Yeah, losing, right? The epitome of losing. He didn't know shit about shit. He didn't. Buddy Ryan is considered one of the greatest coaches because he brought the blue-collar energy back to the city that was kicked and punched to the curb. He got fans. I get all that. I guess we were soft back then. We didn't care about winning. All we cared about was punching you in the face. I guess. Not good enough for me. They didn't have the culture back then like they do now, the winning formula. Exactly. Because Willie T didn't make a spectacle of himself. He did not. He was a very quiet, reserved player. You don't even see him. I don't even know where Willie T is these days. It's not like you see him doing media. You don't see him on the radio. He's not doing podcasts. I don't know where Willie T is at this point. If Urlacher is in Hall of Fame, then so should Seth Joyner. I'd have to really dive deep on this, Rick. But is it that much of a stretch that Seth Joyner might be a better linebacker than Urlacher? Maybe. I'd really have to dig deep on that one. I know Seth Joyner never won Defensive Player of the Year, but he was close a couple times. 43-35 as Eagles coach with an owner who was a piece of crap. And what was their playoff record? Please, make sure you add the playoff record in there. He understood his fan base more than offense. That's a big problem. Yeah. Back then, you could be a defensive-minded head coach as long as you still had an offense. It wasn't like offenses were putting up. 5,000-yard quarterbacks didn't exist yet. Yeah. Seth Joyner's better than Urlacher. I mean, I'd have to go and really deep dive on it. I think it's definitely close. I don't want my Eagles bias to make me make the wrong call on that, Rick. But yeah, Seth Joyner absolutely should be in the Hall of Fame. Truth is, Buddy Ryan denied Phil an autograph when he was a kid. No, that was Lenny Dykstra. All right? Lenny Dykstra was the one that denied me an autograph. Told me to give him $50. Fogball changed the fate of that Eagles era. Sure, maybe. I remember watching the Fogball and not cussing and screaming because I didn't cuss at that time, but being so confused why they didn't put something on their jerseys to make them stand out. I think A.J. Brown will play. Red Steelers won it, John Mechie. I can't give an explanation about Buddy, but Buddy Ryan was just the best. It's the childhood. I get it. It's why I love Terry Mulholland so much. It's why so many of those late 80s, early 90s Phillies teams were so memorable because our childhood holds a special place. But as a grown-ass man, I've realized that was misplaced. Buddy Ryan was a talent evaluator that run a gimmick defense. Was nobody else running that? We were already losing. He made those losses at least palpable. Philly was down as a city. We were still depressed from the Raiders Super Bowl. Then the economy tanked and the city took it. It's all fair. That's all fair. Very fair. Willie T resides in Reading, Pennsylvania, and officiating high school games and linebackers coach at one point. Look at that. Adam doing the deep dive. Bringing in some subscribers and doing the deep dive. If we all brought in 8 subscribers every day like Adam did today, we'd be having a different story today. Joyner had more sacks and interceptions than Urlacher, with slightly more games, a great, but not the name recognition nationally because Urlacher was supposed to be the next Butkus. Yeah, there was a lot of hype like that. I didn't curse then. Now, he doesn't know shit about shit. Phil, I have come a long way. I was not, the potty mouth I have now in life, I did not have back in the day. I will not lie on that. My potty mouth is something that has evolved. Even working my entire life in the restaurant industry, I didn't have a potty mouth till I owned my own restaurant. Owning my own restaurant and dealing with punk-ass kids and dealing with punk-ass customers on a regular basis has made my mouth, yeah. Fog Bowl, bad things happen to bad people, yeah. For a 3-year span, that Eagles defense might be the best defense in the history of the NFL. I mean, in that realm, in that conversation, for sure. Right there with the Steelers and stuff like that. We as a city collectively felt like crapped on the third child between the... Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Was I a Randall fan? Of course. What kid growing up in Philly didn't love Randall? I mean, of course we loved Randall. We all loved Randall. But I wouldn't say he's one of the greatest of all. I would never say Randall's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in Eagles history. Top 5, hold on. Hurts, McNabb, not doing it in order. Hurts, McNabb, Vic, Foles, Wentz, Randall, Jaws. There's about 7 quarterbacks you can evaluate. So maybe he'd be like the 4th best quarterback in Eagles history. Buddy Ryan's hatred for the Cowboys and what he did when they played them. That's fair. I get that. You can love him as a coach, but you can't say he's the best coach. There's a difference between him being your favorite coach and thinking he's the best coach. How about we change that story like that? He might not be the best coach, but he's one of the most loved coaches of all time. There's a difference there. Sometimes on my podcast, I can't believe how often I cuss. Yeah, I've let the curse words fly more recently than the past on podcasts. Let more of my natural personality show. I used to try so hard not to curse on this show. But I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't care. I grew up in an Italian household where you got yelled at for cursing while being cursed at. Yeah, my aunt used to be that. My aunt used to say, "Stata zit," all the time to me. But then say, you can't say those bad words. And if you know what stata zit means, yeah, if not, Google it. Absolutely. What about Rex Ryan and Bob Rush? Sexy Rexy just loved those feet. I can't help it. And Rob Ryan, at least he never got that chance to be a head coach because he would have failed as a head coach. Even as a very young kid, I saw proud men and women lose their jobs and turned on minorities to blame for their losses, not knowing a white trash down South Philly actually stole their livelihood. I woke up to it. Ryan and Sirianni both had teams that would run through walls for them. Philly loves that. That's fine. Love and the best, two different. Man, that sucks, man, Duck. And I'm sorry you had to deal with that. I'm really sorry you had to deal with that. Thankfully, all those rough years in the 80s and 90s was us paying our dues as a fan base, and that's why we are in a new era. Absolutely agree. New era with World Series champions, too, right, Rick? Sixers had just won a chip. Phillies had just been in the World Series. We were fine. It was Sick for Meals burnout announcement that did it more to the city than anything else. Buddy was the best coach and my favorite. He was your favorite. I don't know if you can say the best, but yeah, I get it. He had something guys like Doug and Nick don't have. To me, Dick Vermeil's second best. Well, that's weird because Dick Vermeil was a complete different personality. They graffitied our van with stuff that you don't want child or adult to read, and I'm extremely sad. It does, but it more means shut the F up in most Italian households. It's used it doesn't mean shut up. Stop saying that. It means shut the bleepity bleep up. React to my rankings. Top 5 Eagles quarterbacks in history. McNabb, Hurts, Cunningham, Jaws, Foles. Not taking their entire careers into account. Yeah, I mean, I would probably flip-flop Jaws and Cunningham, but I can get behind this. I think when all's said and done, Hurts will pass McNabb. But at this point, It's fair. It's a fair way to rank them. I would almost put Wentz over Foles. Foles had 2 good games in his history. It just so happened one of those games was the Super Bowl, the first Super Bowl championship in this team. There was a stretch there for 3 years that Carson Wentz was one of the best quarterbacks in football. But yeah, I could agree with it. We can nitpick over Cunningham and Jaws 3-4, but that's about it. That were the desperate times that Buddy existed, and he brought back pride. Absolutely. With the vet in its prime and stuff like that. Absolutely agree. 3 Super Bowls in the past 7 years, probably going to win Super Bowl again this season. Philly's going to win a World Series this year. The Union are going to win a title this year. Everybody's winning. You're winning. You're winning. You're winning. Everybody's winning in this city now. Yeah, I get it. I get it, guys. I don't necessarily agree, but I get it. All right, guys. We're about to wrap it up. We're in the final 5 minutes. There's 29 votes on the poll. 59% of you say yes, A.J. Brown. So I've swayed you because I put the question. It's not because I thought he wasn't going to play. I said I'm still 99% sure he's going to play week 1. There's that little 1% doubt. And early on in the poll, no was winning out. But yes has won out on this poll, 59% to 41%. Best quarterback of Eagles, Cunningham. Sad thing, no rings. Yeah, I mean, he might have been the most athletic quarterback in Eagles history. He might have had the most raw talent in Eagles history. Let's just not also forget that Randall Cunningham had drama in this city as well. I mean, who forgets him turning his jacket inside out and pouting on the sideline when he was benched? I forget what year that was. 4 championships in a year span, about to happen. Let's go. Let's bring it on. I'm feeling the power of positivity, Rick, today. I love how you left out the Sixers and the Floaters by name out. Yeah. Hey, what do you want me to do? I don't think they're winning anything. Yes, 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 yes. Is that what you're doing? Foles also had the follow-up regular season and brought the Birds back from the dead in L.A. First season. Yeah, I know. But I don't think there was one Eagles fan that thought Foles was going to win us a Super Bowl. After that, was it Dallas or the Raiders where we won like 6-3 or something like that? The first start after the Wentz injury. McNabb is statistically the best quarterback in the city until Hurts. Absolutely agree. And that's why I put McNabb still as number 1. We hate McNabb because he's become a D-bag after his playing career. He's probably the real reason. We should have taken Jalen Terrell Owens' side, not his side in that equation. But statistically speaking, he was the first real true franchise quarterback this city had seen with major success. Oh, tizzle my nizzle. What? McNabb was the guy that really put the Eagles on the map and started what Laurie wanted the team to be. I love that statement, Tim. Absolutely agree with you on that. And it's a glorious time to be a sports fan. Savor it. Absolutely. My dad always taught me, appreciate the great times and appreciate the great players, whether they're on your team or not. Because they don't come often. And you never know when you're not going to get to see it again. So appreciate the greatness. Enjoy it with your family and friends. Awesome. Thank you, Ad. Muchas gracias. McNabb and drink equals D-bag. Yeah. McNabb spent too much time trying to be funny instead of being himself. Yeah. When he tried to be goofy when T.O. first got here. I mean, even I could see how fake it was. Them goofing on Sports Center together. Shout out to Rich Eisen. Returned to Sports Center last night. Everyone has emotions. Randall pouted because he knows he was damn too good to be benched. No one had his arm and ability. Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to bring the other side of the argument. I'm always just the counterpoint. Not necessarily what I agree on. I'm just the counterpoint to everybody's points always. Hurts, McNabb, Jaws, Foles. I mean, I think when all's said and done, that might be it. Between the Hurts and McNabb. We'll see. Reed could have had a Super Bowl if it wasn't for Banner's arrogance. Very possible. Very possible. Might have had a Super Bowl if he didn't take over for Banner. Throwing up in the huddle didn't help. It did not. Jaws was my first quarterback to get put high on my all-time list because of that. Look, Jaws was a great quarterback. Great quarterback. First Eagles quarterback to play in a Super Bowl. Where did Rich Eisen go to college? Say it. I have no idea. Am I supposed to know that? I have no clue the answer to that question. No clue on the answer to that question. Guys, Fantastic show today. Big jump in subscribers, lots of likes, lots of votes on the poll. We'll be back doing it all over again tomorrow. What will happen at today's practice? Will the Phillies win tonight? We got the ace. We got the Cy Young winner, Christopher Sanchez, on the mound. So please like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend. Adam got us 8 new subscribers today. Tell your friends at the beach. Tell everybody. Subscribe. Rich Eisen is great. I have no problem with Rich Eisen. Love him. And I didn't stay up to watch it, but I saw the highlight. I saw a clip of his intro, and it felt like I was watching SportsCenter as a kid again. First time in 22 years. Wheeler will be fine. In 6 weeks to 3 months, he'll be fine. We just have to wait to see when it'll be. Jaws played in the era when wide receivers started off in the 3-point stance. It was a long time ago. How about Andy Reid's arrogance trying to put the square peg in the round hole for years? He was not good at that. Andy Reid evolved once he got Patrick Mahomes. Isn't Rich Eisen a Wolverine? Is he? Is that what the joke was? Is that why the joke was made? Okay. Gotcha. Should have picked up on it. I hope that's all it is, Rick. We'll find out. I think I read somewhere that they will know about 4 to 6 days after yesterday. So 4 to 6 days, they'll know how long he'll be out for, what the course of follow-up treatment to his procedure will be. And that is when we know. I am going to stop reading medical reports on this until I hear it from the horse's mouth. That's what I'm just going to do. I'm going to wait. Guys, I'll be live tonight, 6 p.m. Final fairway to heaven for the season. PGA Tour Championship is this week. So if you want to tune in, we're going to talk golf, how we can make golf more interesting, because that's what we really talk about during the Tour Championship. Go Phillies. Hope the bats stay hot. Absolutely. Wheeler should be done for the year. Be healthy. We'll find out. I don't know if they can win a World Series without him, though, Tim. Go Phillies. Go Eagles. Absolutely. Guys, everybody have a great Tuesday. Enjoy it. Go Birds. I'll be live tonight, 6 p.m. Back here tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Guys, go Birds. Bubbles up.